the beginning of this meeting, which we are starting with a public hearing. So I am going to go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mrs. Reese, members of the board and public. We're going to begin this evening prior to calling the official meeting to order with a couple of hearings, the truth in taxation and the hearing in regards to the fiscal year 26 budget. So I turn it over to my colleague, Mrs. Huey.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, district administration, and community members. Tonight, we're holding our Truth in Taxation as our first hearing. And for the proposed agenda, we have the recommendation during the actual, the adopted budget. So it'll be during our regularly scheduled board meeting. But according to the statute 15995, it allows the governing board to levy for adjacent ways. And that's to finance improvements adjacent to the school property. These funds are restricted and, can you hear me okay? Okay,
Yes.
These are restricted and any projects required to be submitted to the SFD for prior approval. So we can levy for the funds, but any expenditures have to be go through the school facilities division. They're known as School Facilities Division, or as we know them, SFB, School Facilities Board. They have 60 days after we submit our proposal to them of expenditures to either review, approve, or deny. The districts are allowed to use those funds for public roads adjacent, intersections, infrastructure improvements, and also some on-campus improvements, but they are specific to safety and for bus and fire lanes only. Some examples of expenditures that we've used of adjacent ways in the district in the past have been the light at Fry's going into transportation. That was used out of adjacent ways. The sewer connection from the town of Sahuarita, that was also used out of adjacent ways. The new light at Walden Grove that hopefully will be up before beginning, that's what we're hearing, the beginning of the school year. That is also an adjacent ways project, as well as some of the asphalt that we put in the bus barn as well. So some of that qualified for adjacent ways. During our preliminary budget, we did draft our tax rates, and so the tax rates get approved by the superintendent's office. I keep cutting out. They get approved by the superintendent's office, the Pima County School Superintendent's office, and our preliminary indication and our final calculation is by levying $1.5 million for next year, it will not increase our tax rate. In fact, what we did is we purposely looked at all of our calculations, and it's going to actually be a reduction to the tax rate. Not the taxes, because the taxes are a function of the rate, but the actual tax rate. And the reason for that is due to a combination of items. Those items are for qualifying tax rates. That has gone down. Additionally, the assessed home values have gone up. And in addition to that, more importantly, the governing board back in 2021, you guys approved a refunding of our bond. And that allowed us to get a better rate on our bonds by refinancing them. So in combination with all those factors, we're able to then decrease the actual tax rate for the upcoming year in calendar year 26. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Does any board member have any questions on the truth and taxation piece for that piece? Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and move on to the fiscal year 26 expenditure budget.
Please
Perfect.
proceed, Ms. Huey.
Thank you so much. And I think of Betsy, oh, you already have it up. Perfect. Spot on. So what we'll do tonight is the next item is a public hearing of fiscal 26 adopted budget summary. And there is no change from what we proposed at the last board meeting. We're proposing a conservative budget with a 4% ADM decline. Additionally, the last time I checked, the governor hasn't approved the budget yet. So because of that, the budget has not been approved, and therefore I did not include the statutory 2% inflation as well. And again, that's just being conservative. Normally, we have many changes that happen, and we can revise at any time. So we can revise again in December, and we can revise again in May. And traditionally, we've always done that. So it's better to go low and then add on to that throughout the year as we grow and, we get more enrollment, right? All those things happen. We can go ahead and increase that during the next fiscal year. So once again, there's been no change. What is before you right now tonight is the summary of our adopted budget that we will be proposing during the regularly scheduled board meeting. And I'll go ahead and start with our maintenance and operation budget. We have our fiscal year 26 adopted budget. And what I'm recommending is $42,813,046. For our adjustments to our M&O, that total for the adjustments, including our carry forward, the total adjustments for M&O that are allowed is $47,972,434. Our carry forward, again, that remains the same for a grand total of maintenance and operation budget for fiscal year 26 of $61,138,933. Next, we'll go down to the district additional assistance. And again, from the proposed budget, there was no change. And that amount for the total allocation without carry forward is $4,624,077. We're proposing a carry forward from prior year. Again, this is just preliminary of $2 million. And for our district additional assistance, total limit is $6,624,077. And with that, I open it up for any questions that you may have at this time.
Does anybody have any questions over the the adopted budget? Okay.
You may close the
Fantastic.
hearing. You may close
Okay.
the hearing at your discretion, ma'am.
Okay, so at this point, we will close the public hearing and then we will go ahead and start the regular board meeting. So good evening and welcome to this regularly scheduled meeting of the Sahuarita Unified School District Governing Board. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very much. And then we will move on into the roll call. Ms. Palacios. Present?
Present. Present.
Present.
Present.
Here.
Present.
Here.
Thank you very much. We will go ahead and move on into the approval of the agenda. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Reese, members of the board. At this point, recommend approval of the revised agenda with one noted change. I'd like to strike item number 9B in new business. We don't need to address it. The current policy in that regard is currently functional and appropriate.
Okay. Thank you very much. We will strike item 9B. Okay. Wait. Do we need a motion to accept that as, do we
Yes.
need to amend
You
it?
could- No, you can
Okay.
recommend that the motion be approved as it was communicated.
Okay. So we have a recommendation. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as recommended?
So moved. Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Moving on to the approval of the minutes. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Reese. For the minutes from the regularly scheduled meeting of the board back on June 11th, 2025, and after your review and consideration, I do recommend approval at this time.
Okay, we have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So then we will move on into the superintendent report. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Reese, members of the board and public. You know, we are in the latter part of June. It's hard to believe that next week is the 4th of July. So the new year will be upon us soon. Nonetheless, these are, if we have true days of summer, these are the days of summer. And yet there's a lot of activity going on. Of course, summer school's wrapping up, I think. Is it this week or next week, Mrs. Robinson? This Thursday. But in addition to that, I just want you to know that full forward momentum and progress is done with intentionality in renewing our facilities and most importantly, I want to stress honoring the trust of the community and the public through their investment in our bond program. I asked Mr. Downs to go snap a few photographs. A lot of the focus this summer has been on paint and flooring in critically needed areas. I think that looks like Onza Trail. And these facilities look transformed. The ones I've seen, these entire walls, office spaces that had stuff that clearly needed to be renewed. And so thank you to our community for this public investment in our facilities because they are the community's facilities and we want to be the best stewards that we can of them. So with that, after we get through all the pictures, I think we've covered my report for today and I'll turn it back to you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to the governing board reports. Dr. Sparks.
Thank you very much. After I heard Tony's story about wandering around the district to all the construction site, I did the same thing this last week. It's kind of cool. Lights going up and building's almost done and painted and that's all. It's really fun to watch all of. Actually early in a lot of cases, I think. And on budget, hopefully under. I love it.
Yeah.
So I think that's great. That's all I had today. Stay cool.
Mr. Rodriguez.
I have no report at this time.
Okay. Mr. Bruno.
Say, change comes in little ways too. I don't know if anybody noticed when they walked in, but all the trip hazards are gone. They've run the electric wires around the steps and the kids who come down for awards won't fall or trip or have to leap over them. So again, change comes in little ways too. It's all very impressive.
Perfect. All right, Ms. Petersmark.
I want to thank everyone who made summer school a success. So Wrights and Ridge and Walden, and everything seemed to go really well. So thank you, everybody. And my son and I walked by Anza, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it looks fantastic." He's like, "Doesn't it, Mom?" I'm like, "Yes." So super cool. So thank you to everybody for making all this happen. Everything's going to look amazing. So thank you.
Perfect. And I actually don't have a report this evening, so we will move on. So thank you so much for everyone who did give a report. We do not have any recognition this evening, so no call to the public either. So we will go ahead and move into new business instruction, student academic progress goals for 25-26. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Reese, members of the board. As the board is aware, each year under the provisions of Prop 301, there's an element that sets a performance goal for all of our schools, for all of our teachers. And the goal is to align this program with district initiatives and to keep everybody focused on the same thing, namely the raising of student academic performance and achievement. And then, of course, based on the achievement of these goals, there's a part of Prop 301 where our hardworking teachers are able to receive some compensation based on those goals. I wanted to ask Assistant Superintendent Robinson this evening just to give a concise summary of these goals so that you're aware of the recommendation that I'll be making for you here shortly. Darlene?
Yes. As you know, the performance pay plan is a total of 100 points that are part of the teacher or certified staff's enhanced incentive pay. The section that I'll be talking about shortly is professional growth goal. That is 33% of it, but specifically the one that is for today is similar to what it's been in the past. It's meaningful but attainable, where K through 5's goal is on literacy foundational skills, where 6 through 8 is on overall final exams and their content specific area. And that is for group A or B teachers. B teachers would be elective teachers and non-for content teachers. They would align themselves with one of those goals to attain that percentage. And then for high school, it is 9th through 12th grade students will score 60% or higher on their content-specific semester one final exam. So this is part 2 of the professional growth goals, and they're the ones that do solicit the need for our teachers to provide pre and post score assessments and to show meaningful growth towards those goals.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. And this does require board approval, so I would recommend the board's approval of the student academic progress goals for the 25-26 school year at this time.
Okay. We have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? I will just put this out there. I would just like to thank the district for their continued commitment to making this something that truly feels attainable for teachers. Having been in the classroom when 301 first got started, some of the stuff that got put into these performance plans for teachers felt very unattainable. And this overall is something that even a brand new teacher coming into the district can look at and go, okay, no, I got this. And so I want to thank the district as a whole for continuing to make this attainable for those teachers. So any other discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to the next item of business, we're on 8A, approval of adjacent ways levy and truth and taxation. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Reese, members of the board. One of the things that those of you that have served together with me over the past several years know that I say is that one of the most important things we are is stewards of the public's trust and therefore stewards of the public's dollar. So in terms of truth or taxation, I just want to stress the point that we're very methodical about the implementation of the adjacent ways levy. We do it with care and with thought and with specific purpose. As my colleague, Mrs. Huey, said, it is very specifically defined. This is very targeted money for very specific purposes that are focused on important access of utilities and access points and safety measures. I think she mentioned a couple of the big projects that have really benefited all of us through this levy is the partnership with the town where we connected and modernized the sewer flow so that, and those of you that have been around remember that we used to have to pump the sewage uphill, and the opportunity to not do so came about. And I think you would agree it was a wise investment in modernizing our system. Similarly, we're excited about the street light and the intersection improvements over there by Walden Grove. These are the kind of projects, things like this, and sidewalks. We're building thousands of square feet of additions to the schools in these next couple of years. And with that comes the need for proper fire lane access and roadway improvements. So I just want to thank you for your consideration of this. Again, as Lizette mentioned, the recommendation here is for $1.5 million, and it's not by just coincidence that the tax rate is staying the same. This has been part of a very methodical and purposeful and ongoing effort. So thank you for that, Lizette. But I think that's an important point, because in that responsibility to our community, we, especially right now when so many things are very uncertain, our goal is consistency and steadiness to the extent that's within our control. So with that, at this point, I do recommend approval of the adjacent ways levy, truth and taxation as it was presented this evening. Oh, thank you. We said this is a team effort. This does require by statute a roll call vote. So Ms. Palacios, if you could please call the roll.
Do we need to go ahead and do a motion in a second?
You do.
Okay, so we have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded. We will move into a roll call vote. Ms. Palacios?
Governing Board President Denise Reese,
Yes.
Governing Board Clerk Dr. John Sparks,
Yes.
Governing Board Member Amy Petersmark,
Yes.
Governing Board Member Anthony Bruno,
Yes.
Governing Board Member Raul Rodriguez.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Motion passes. We will move into approval of the fiscal year 26 adopted budget. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Reese, members of the board. The only thing I'm going to say well, I was going to say that hasn't been said, but maybe it has, but being a teacher, I just believe that repetition is a variable of retention, is I think the point that I'm very grateful to report to you that our budget is healthy. As Lizette mentioned, it is conservative. We did intentionally choose to tighten it in the downward direction based on conservative projections about what could happen in terms of enrollment. But as she said, it's easier to do that and to then open it up than to be maybe too optimistic and then have to move it back. So I think that was good, sound practice. It is sound because we, as a staff, I believe, as a board of thoughtful elected officials for this community, and we, as a community, have worked to invest and to manage these resources carefully. So although many things affecting the budget, legislation, demographics, economics, all the things that are, many of these things are maybe kind of volatile right now and kind of unclear. We're trying to walk the slow and steady line, and the budget is sound, and I am pleased to recommend to you this evening recommend your approval of the fiscal year 26 adopted budget as it was presented this evening. And I was told that it doesn't require a roll call vote, but since we did roll call for the other one, and budget is one of the approval of the budget is one of the major functions of a governing board, I'd like to request if we could do it as a roll call vote.
We have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded, and we'll move into a roll call vote. Ms.
Go-
Klossman.
Governing Board President Denise Reese,
Yes.
Governing Board Clerk Dr. John Sparks,
Yes.
Governing Board Member Amy Petersmark,
Yes.
Governing Board Member Anthony Bruno,
Yes.
Governing Board Member Raul Rodriguez.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Motion passes. Moving into number 9, new business, a revised 2026 school board meeting / lunch schedules. Dr. Valenzuela.
I can't believe it. We're talking in the middle of June about 2026.
Yeah.
Although I'm looking forward to it because when 26 rolls around, it'll be theoretically a little cooler. But this is the board meeting lunch, the board meetings, as the board is very well aware, are generally held, as has been as long as I've been around, the second and the fourth Wednesdays of the month here. A couple of exceptions, the board lunches, which we changed last year, onto a Monday format instead of a Thursday. And the only other asterisk that I point out is not part of the record, but as we've previously discussed, we're going to work out the details as requested to try and arrange for one of the meetings, probably in the spring. We try and get out of this area to go down to the Amato area in October, in the fall. So maybe in the spring to push the tour a little bit further and maybe have a board meeting in the spring in Arivaca. So of course we'd come back with that amendment. But with that point standing, I would recommend approval of the revised 2026 school board meeting and lunch schedules.
We have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Moving on to 9C, policy revision GCCB. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. And this is a Sahuarita specific recommendation. Myself and my cabinet staff were reviewing practice and realized that it probably makes sense to particular policy just to reflect our current practice. Basically, what the policy says is that employees can't have more than 5 personal leave days on the books. And really the reason I need to recommend that you change it is because the certified staff, so I'm talking basically the teacher group, receives 3 personal days per year. And it says that upon request, as long as they meet criteria, I think they have to have 30 days of sick leave or something like that already banked. But if they meet the criteria, carry over to, he didn't use the 3. So theoretically, somebody could have 5, and that's what the policy says, is you can't have more than 5. However, one of our performance-based, state-required elements for us involves the ability for a teacher to earn an additional days he or she has achieved the highest level of evaluation performance on their formal evaluation. And so if you do the math, it's possible that somebody could theoretically be going into 7 personal days. The recommendation here is merely to change the 5 to 7 in the policy so that it's reflective of, now it doesn't always happen that because people use their days, but we just want it to be accurate with what is possible. However, in keeping with our normal practice, which I believe is sound, at this time I would recommend tabling this particular policy revision.
Perfect. We have a recommendation to table this particular policy as a first read. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to table this. All in favor say aye, or is there any discussion about tabling this motion or item, not the motion? Is there any discussion about tabling this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of tabling this agenda item, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Moving on to new business, item D, policy advisory 37, number 2, Dr. Valenzuela.
This one is a little different because if this policy advice, which again, these are evaluated based on legislation and case law by ASBA as a service of our membership that we belong to the organization. And if this one looks familiar, it's because it's been here before, minus a couple of regulations, specifically BGE-R, which basically is a change in wording. I've shared how ASBA is in a process of kind of updating some policy. This one I looked up, I think it's literally just a change in the heading. It's not anything substantive. The other one is BIBA-R. I think it's based on legislation. It's required based on legislation. And it has to do with board travel to conferences and workshops and the associated norms. And so in order to fully update our policies at this point, again, we've already approved most of what's in that big voluminous advisory. These 2 specifically that have not yet been approved, since this is the first time around for them, I would recommend tabling them at this time.
We have a recommendation to table this item. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion about tabling this item? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, so moving on to our last one. So number 9, item E, policy advisory. This is the second reading on these ones. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. So each of these policy advisories is kind of unique in its own right. This one, if you think you've seen this one before, you're right again. This one in its entirety is one that was clearly, thoroughly part of this ASBA monetization process to update their policies. However, the only issue with this one is this one hasn't yet been brought back for a second reading and therefore formal approval. So it's already gone through the first, through the tabling. So at this point, I would recommend approval of policy advisory number 36 as presented.
Okay, we have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. We will move on to item 10, new business, personnel appointment of the SOPRI principal. Dr. Valenzuela.
Thank you, President Reese, members of the board. In the not too distant past, we learned of the resignation of Principal Beachy, and hence we focused our attention on something we know to be very important, and that is the selection of a new leader. We believe very strongly that principal leadership matters, just as a general rule. And then on top of that, you take the fact that the uniqueness of our community, specifically in regards to SOPRI, it is unique in many special ways. First of all, it truly is a rural school, right? Second, it covers, I think, the broadest attendance area geographically. It covers a vast expanse of attendance area. It's also our smallest school. And yet we believe, we know how important and how central that school is to the culture and the vitality of that community. And so we pursued it with the utmost fervor and attention and focus. I believe Mr. Downs headed up this particular search. We also believe that leadership matters. We believe that leadership is contextual, and that we went in an effort to find the very best leader, the very best fit for this position. And when I think of our mission, our district mission, working as a team to help every student succeed, I think of Dr. Jan Spooner. Dr. Spooner emerged after this entire process, which we've done a number of these, and the process, as you know, is multifaceted, it's comprehensive. And Dr. Spooner emerged by strong recommendation. She's a 25-year career educator. I met her when she came to the Sahuarita School District, but in reviewing her background, I realized even more than I already knew what a deep, rich, and diverse background she has. She actually began her career as a K-2 teacher, as a primary school teacher in the United Kingdom. And then came here, I believe it was in 2008, and that's when I first met Jan. She was a teacher at Sahuarita Primary School, and I just remember meeting her and just being very impressed with the depth of her knowledge in early childhood development, early childhood education, and also the effective instruction of reading practice. So she did that, then moved into the position of reading specialist, worked as a reading specialist. As you can tell, literacy and reading are very much not only a strength, but a passion of Jan's. She did, I think it was a relatively short stint as an assistant to the principal there. It was right before, I think, Wrightson opened. It was when that school was kind of busting at the seams. And then in the last several years, I think since before the COVID era, like 2019, Jen's been our English language learner and dyslexia coordinator, so running all of the AZELA testing and the processing and the programming and the reporting and the grant, the Title III grant, which is ELL. So just a deep level of knowledge. And if that's not keeping her busy enough, she also, I read, works as an adjunct faculty member at Pima Community College and teaches classes, I imagine probably on literacy or something thereabouts. And she also has served as a board member on our own Sahuarita Educational Enrichment Foundation, or SEEF, during the recent years where we've really made a lot of progress in the growth of SEEF, as it's affectionately called. One thing that I'm really excited about right now with Jan and her unique skill sets and her gifts is she brought to me her knowledge base is really rooted in this whole area of reading and dyslexia. And she brought a promising program that's based on a multisensory approach to teaching reading. And it's been researched around the world. It's It's called the Orton-Gillingham, and the specific intervention method is called the Barton method. And she's been working on it and piloting it with individual students. And the initial indicators are extremely favorable when you look at the level of growth that we've seen. And this was before she even applied for this position. She's been spending a lot of time down at SOPRI and working with our students, and in particular our students that could use some special help in these areas. And so we're looking, she and Jess Beignet, our student services director, and some of the teacher leaders down there, Janet Turner's here, who's been teaching in this district for, let's just say, several years, right, Janet? I think the tens digit starts with a 4. Am I right, Janet? Yeah. And they're looking at doing this as kind of a pilot, as kind of a laboratory school, and that they're looking at training. And really exciting about the promise of that. So very excited about that. Another thing I could tell you about Jan is I think she has the most, or at least one of the most degrees in the whole district. I mean, she is so highly educated, very, very impressive. She earned a Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of Minnesota. And then she earned a master's degree in elementary ed and reading from the University of North London in the United Kingdom. She earned a Master of Education in Ed Leadership from University of Arizona, along with a PhD from the University of Arizona in Educational Leadership and Policy. And guess what she studied? Dyslexia policy. I've actually read her dissertation. It's very good. And if that wasn't enough, she recently went back to school to earn another, talk about a model for learning, to earn another degree, another master's in special education for students with mild and moderate disabilities. My guess is just because she wants to know as much as she can to do as much good as she can do for our kids. And I just closed before making the recommendation with this. I was looking at her forms, and Jan and I have talked a few times in recent weeks, and she said her objective: SOPRI School will be a beacon in the community due to its inclusive and innovative culture where every child thrives because their needs are understood, respected, and supported. And I read that and I could see Jan's heart, and I see it in how she acts through her actions. And I'm just really excited about this next chapter of the SOPRI School, which I still call the little engine that could, if you've ever read that children's book. And so with that, I'm very proud and honored this evening to recommend the appointment of Dr. Jan Spooner as the principal, SOPRI Elementary School, effective July 1st, which is next week.
We have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Madam President, I just want to point out, I think I've been in the district a while now, and I've seen you in various roles. And I think it's important to point out that while you have the obligatory family, you have a large cadre of teachers and professionals behind you for a summer hot board meeting. And I think that speaks to the support you have in your staff. So I think that I just wanted to point that out. I think that's important because I don't think people online can see that shows that you are impactful in the community and that the people around you trust you and support you in this endeavor. And I think that's really cool. So,
Perfect.
Madam President.
Anything else?
So, Dr. Jan, I just wanted to say, Dr. Valenzuela did a heck of a job selling you there. I mean, I've never heard him string so many kind words together like that. I hope one day he speaks that well of me. So, but congratulations.
Jan, we've crossed paths several times over the years, and I'm very pleased to hear that you'll be at SOPRI. That's very dear to my heart in many ways and to my family's heart, and I hope to see good things.
Didn't you go to that school?
Maybe.
I'm just asking.
Actually,
Did you see it get built, right?
I was at the previous
The
school.
previous school.
Before that one.
I thought I knew you to ask.
Yeah, I'm older than dirt, okay? I get it.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, Jan was the assistant principal at SPS when my youngest got in trouble, and so she helped me work through that particular situation.
And what grade is he going into, Mrs. Reese?
He will be a ninth grader this coming fall. So yeah, it's been a few minutes, but no, I'm just grateful for your continued dedication to this district and in the various roles that you've served. So I'm excited to see this next chapter as well. Thank you. Any other discussion?
Just want to add to,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just ditto what everybody said except the older than dirt part, Tony. But we're super excited. We're looking forward to amazing things from you. So thank you for stepping up and stepping in. We appreciate you.
Perfect. Anything else? Then we will proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Congratulations.
Dr. Valenzuela, you might have heard my mom giggling when you were going through all my degrees because it's kind of a family joke in my family that Jan can't stop going to college. Thank you, everyone, for your kind words. Dr. Valenzuela, Mr. Downs, Mrs. Robinson, President Reese, school board members, and members of the community, my friends and colleagues. I am deeply honored and humbled to accept the position of principal of Sahuarita Elementary School. My first encounter with Sahuarita was in 2008 on a bus tour of the district as part of the new teacher induction program. I remember thinking what a charming school it seemed, and it reminded me of the little village school in England that I had left behind. Throughout my time working in the district, I would often hear people refer to Sahuarita as that nice little school down south. Other than that, I didn't really know much about Sahuarita until the last several years when I began visiting the school as part of my job. Then, this past semester, I had the opportunity to do some teaching at Sahuarita, and that's when I became aware of the genuine beauty of this school community. As you walk through the gates of Sahuarita, you will see staff members greeting students by name and asking how they are. You will hear the delightful laughter of preschool children as they play. And you will see kindergarten students learning to walk safely under the watchful eye of their teacher. In every classroom, you will see teachers utterly devoted to their students, caring for them and nurturing their individual needs. You will notice staff members who are closely connected due to their mutual love for the students, the school, and the families they serve. In a time where teachers can pretty much work wherever they want, these teachers choose to work at Sahuarita. One teacher drives from Tucson to Amado every day, and I think of how many schools she passes along the way that she could work for, but she chooses to work at Sahuarita. I know why she makes that trip every day. It's because Sahuarita truly is a special place to be. I've had the immense pleasure of getting to know many students and learning their dreams about the future. They are budding artists, athletes, musicians, engineers, entrepreneurs, doctors, nurses, teachers. One student wants to be an environmentalist so she can save animals that are at risk of extinction. Two students who've known each other since kindergarten want to own a pizza restaurant together, one making the pizzas and the other delivering the pizzas. They already have an emerging business plan, and they know at least one of them will need a driver's license. Sahuarita is a thriving school with a rich history, long-standing traditions, and close ties to the community. Families have been sending their children to Sahuarita for generations and will continue for generations to come. I am incredibly proud to be named principal of Sahuarita Elementary School and to work alongside its dedicated staff in preparing students to make their dreams come true. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Spooner, and congratulations again. Next item on this evening's agenda is our consent agenda. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, Madam President Reese, members of the board, after your review and consideration, I do recommend approval of the consent agenda in its entirety.
Okay, we have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will move on to number 12, possible future agenda considerations. Is there any board member who has any item that needs to come before our board? Okay, seeing none, we'll establish our next board meeting for July 9th here at 6 p.m. in this building. And then if that's it, then we do not have an executive session this evening, so I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you and have a good evening.